Yeah, things have gotten slightly real. Things have gotten slightly real here. In case you don't know, surely you should, because you should always be keeping up with world affairs. In case you don't know, there's been an invasion by Russia and Ukraine, and again, as followers of football, this is has an effect on football. And I think the first effect it has. I'll talk about the effects, but the first effect that first, before I go into the effects, again, we hope and we pray that there can be de-escalation because nobody wants to see innocent lives lost, and nobody wants to see their lives wrecked by war and conflict. We had this whole situation back during the whole SARS thing in my country, in Nigeria, and we even go all the way back to the Iraq War. Where innocent lives were lost. So you never want to see it happening, but the way that things are happening, it seems as if Putin wants to pretty much take over the whole of Ukraine, not just the eastern parts, but the whole of Ukraine. But I think read up, do your research, and see what is really going down, man. And so how football is concerned. So the Champions League final was supposed to be held in St. Petersburg. That was where it was supposed to be held, but I believe it's already even been confirmed. I think UEFA have already decided that it's now gonna be moved, and I think even the Emirates Stadium is a alternative route for the CL final tour to be held. And I think because I sort of posted this before to begin with, like a short news thing, and guys said no, don't involve politics with football. Football and politics should be separate. I think that's even one of the rules, that if any political organization gets involved in football, that team gets sanctioned. And I think that's even what happened with sort of Nigeria at a point. I think Nigeria was sort of banned during the Abacha days. But I think it's one of those things of where I don't think this is political. I think this is a sense of right and wrong. And I think that for UEFA, they just deem that we're not making a political move, we're making an ethical move. And the ethical move that we're making is that we just feel like if it would be in bad taste if we still held this competition in a country that has effectively invaded another country. Like, for me, like there's no mincing words there. Russia have gone in and just straight up launched an invasion on Ukraine. So there isn't any mincing words. People say, well, right or wrong, no, you've invaded another country, so that's just real. So whatever reasons they may have, however they may feel they may justified, you've done something by international law, which is illegal. Same thing as well. What America did with Iraq, that was illegal. 100%. Like what America and the UK did in attacking Iraq, that was completely illegal. Hence why it's a bit hypocritical. America and UK saying, oh, you're so bad, when your country also launched an illegal war on Iraq. So, but again, everyone's a hypocrite. So that's the one of the main things how football is affected here, which is that this is not being moved. And I think, because I suggest this is the San Siro, but yeah, the Emirates could be one to hold the CL final, and if it's held there, hopefully Chelsea can make it. I actually don't live too far from the Emirates Stadium, and I've actually been there. Amazing stadium. So, but I think we look about how football has been affected by this, and you may not know this dude. This is Smolov. He's obviously a Russian player, and I think you may have remembered him during the World Cup in 2018, where Russia actually did really, really well, making the semis. Did they make the semis? Yeah, I think they made the semis. Yeah, where they played against. No, sorry, they made the quarters. They made the quarters. And I think Smolov has been the first Russian football player, to actually speak up against Russia invading Ukraine, which is a big deal because if you do know your research, a lot of people who even speak out against Putin, they get taken to the courts, they get put away. So any anti-Russia guys, they get smacked down quick by Putin because Putin doesn't play, And but I think what is key is this. So you may not be able to read this, but that's Russian, and if you translate it, it says no to war, basically no war. So this is Smolov's Instagram page, and this is where he says, "No war. Please say no to war." So that's it's big. And my thing is that how many other Russian players are going to come forth and also have that same energy pertaining to speaking out against Russia invading Ukraine, because that's just crazy. Because I've just been looking at some news articles and people even trying to launch anti-war protests in Russia have literally been disbanded. I think there are some people who try to launch who wanted to do like an anti-Putin, anti-war thingy in Russia. Russians that wanted to do so in front of the Ukraine embassy, and Russian soldier just says, "Yo, get the hell out of there, man." So it's real. It's very, very real, man. And so I'm not sure how many other guys will be able to speak out on this because it's looking tricky. It's looking tricky because guys are like, okay, if I say this, what could happen to me? But more so than me, what could happen to my family? Because Putin is a guy who he will retaliate, and he's been known to retaliate because Putin doesn't play. But I think another big thing, and definitely concerning your boy here is our dear friend here, Roman Abramovich. Yep. So now we all know who Roman is. Roman is the Chelsea owner. I call him Bram, and he's pretty much been the reason why Chelsea have been so successful, and this has been Chelsea's most successful period in their entire history, and it's all down to what Roman Abramovich did, and really he was the first of the big money owner who was invested in the club. So this was before Schickman, so before the PSG owners, before the City owners, it was him. So Bram was the first who came out and said, "Bro, I want to have my own team as a football fan and really truly invest huge money in my team." So basically, he's like the anti-Daniel Levy. So people say, "Oh, what the hell does Bram have to do with this? What does Bram look at this? He's such a nice, lovely guy. Look at that smile, and he has a yachty. Look at that smile." But there's this. So I think for a long time, people have said that him and Putin have been linked together. Even I think there was even something that after that says, apparently Putin wanted Bram to actually own Chelsea, but this was actually refuted, and actually there was actually a apology made to Bram because that was of course a false claim. But there is definitely a link there, and I think the question is how deep is this link, and because what's happening right now is people want to sanction Russia by trying to put pressure upon them in various different ways to try to stop this war from happening. And I think one of the things they want to try and do is seize his assets in the UK and perhaps seize his Chelsea assets in the UK, which who knows could end up in him having to sell Chelsea or so forth. So pretty much, and I think even, and we'll get to an article now where they may even say, "Yo, Bram, you can't even live in the UK now." So let me just take this from the BBC, because the BBC, they're always cool because they don't have any ads, so it's easy to view it. So this is from the BBC. So we'll do a little read. So the government should seize the assets of Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich, a Labour MP has said, citing concerns about alleged links to corruption. Chris Brown told MPs he had a leaked Home Office document which suggested the Chelsea Football Club owner should not be able to base himself in the UK. Mr. Brown said it was written in 2019 and little had been done since then. So reference to it, Esuna said the government had taken very strong action against high-profile Russian individuals who are of concern. Downing Street would not be drawn on the claims about Mr. Abramovich made in the Commons. The PM spoken said, "I couldn't comment on individuals in that way or on leaked documents of that type." Earlier this week, the government announced it would impose sanctions on 3 billionaires with close links to President Vladimir Putin as part of the UK's response to Russia's actions on Ukraine. Mr. Abramovich is one of Russia's richest people and is believed to be close to President Putin. Speaking in the House of Commons, Mr. Brandt urged the government to take action against Mr. Abramovich, including removing his own. Now, this is the key: removing his ownership of Chelsea Football Club and seizing his assets. So that's the key thing here. That's the key thing there. Here's my thing here. Seizing his assets, removing ownership of thingy, how will that help the people in Ukraine? And how will that help and how will that stop Putin from doing what he did? Let me tell you this right now. If seizing his assets and seizing his ownership of Chelsea would put a serious dent in Russia's offensive and would actually put a dent in how well Russia can actually put this invasion of Ukraine, I'll be all for it. Trust me. Peace, baby. For me, peace becomes before football, films, movies, everything. I'm all about peace. I'm all about peace. I think, as you well know, I think you guys know Dr. Joe, who appears on the hangouts and so forth. He lives in Ukraine. So I care more about Dr. Joe's safety right now in Ukraine than bloody fishnet ball or anything to do with Chelsea or Abramovich. So yeah, we talk about football and everything, but guys, life and reality, that comes before. So that's my thing is, if this would truly help in its offensive and really put serious pressure on Russia, I'm all for it. But my thing is that what is this going to do? Because I'm not sure what any of these sanctions are really going to do. And that is where we're now getting into really scary territory. These sanctions ain't going to do nothing to Putin. He's already invading. And by the time we view this in the next few days, they're going to take over Ukraine. So the question is, do you really want to get physical and real, which could get really real? Or it is what it is. So you could just condemn. But unless you're really going to get down and dirty, these sanctions ain't going to do nothing. These sanctions ain't going to do nothing, you know? You see, for me, I don't know what's the links with Putin and Abramovich, because I'm not going to believe some documents here and everything or so forth. Obviously, I know that they're linked in some way, because that's obvious by the pictures that have been taken and so forth. But unless you can give me hard evidence of, this guy is really in Putin's pocket. So we don't know the details of the relationship, and I'm not going to believe a Facebook article or a Twitter article or people from the UK government or everything, because the truth is the truth. So give me a truthful, objective document as to what is the true link with Putin and Abramovich. So it's crazy. It's crazy because you go even more so with football. I think so. Next month are the qualifications. So I believe Poland play Russia. And I think the winner of that could potentially play Sweden. And I think so. Czech Republic, Poland, and Sweden, who are within Russia's brackets of qualifications, have said they're not going to play. They refuse to play Russia or go to Russia. So now there's now going to be massive pressure on FIFA, because FIFA, what do you do now? Because if it is fully real, do you now say, hey, because it's difficult? Because Putin hasn't involved himself politically with the Russian team, so they're not actually broken any FIFA rules. So are FIFA rights in completely throwing Russia out of FIFA World Cup qualification? Because there's no precedent for doing that. But then if Czech, Sweden, and thingy say no, and FIFA, because then it's difficult, and FIFA will be like, they've broken nothing, but there'll be pressure under FIFA by saying, okay, they've not done anything wrong via your rules. But this is now where is your moral compass and where is your ethical compass now? Because FIFA could say they've not broken any rules, but based on ethical and moral compass, we have to just say, Russia, you can't be involved anymore in this based on what your country is. It's crazy because it goes back to the Olympics. So Russia were involved in doping, which meant that Russia as an organization couldn't take part in the Olympics. But they said that is unfair for those Russian athletes who haven't doped. So what happened where Russian athletes could compete independently under the Olympic community? Because, like, why should I, as a Russian athlete who has no dealing with doping, suffer for what the Russian Olympic Board have done? So then these Russian players say, bro, we didn't invade Ukraine. We're not behind Ukraine being invaded. Putin is just doing what he's doing. We're just football players. So why should we be punished? So it's unfair for the Russian players to be punished. So I think maybe the right thing that has... Because it's funny. So I think the right thing to be done is neutral venue. Because if Sweden and thingies say no, FIFA, you've got to reach a compromise. Because you've got to say, if you say no, that means you forfeit. But then is that if FIFA just throws Sweden and thingy out, people are going to look at FIFA a funny way. FIFA, Qatar and everything like that. So it's going to get tricky right now. But yeah, man, things are real. And all I can just do is that, because I remember when I fully remember listening to the radio. I can remember this was back in 2003, before this was before Twitter, Facebook, and so forth. I remember listening to the radio when the invasion of Iraq began. I was like, wow, man, I'm actually living in a time when an actual war has taken place, because I think, I was too young with the earlier war. So, yeah, man, we'll have another war, man, and we just hope that, this doesn't expand, because, the things with these wars is People say, oh no, that's just between Ukraine and Russia. But these things can start small and go big. Remember when Hitler said what's up to, I think it was it Austria or Poland? I can't remember. I think he began his offensive with Austria so far. But oh yeah, that's just one small thing. Then went on that small invasion and just expanded because who knows? Does Putin want to recruit USSR? Who knows? But we just have to wait, seek, and hope that things don't get too deep or too crazy.